All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and the conspiracy theorists that say Tyson Fury has been lying and played the boxing world over this fake COVID diagnosis that he came up with. As you can see, I'm one of the conspiracy theorists. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, before I get into the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Also, you can hit the bell icon so that you know when our videos are released. Also, if you would share the video, it would be greatly appreciated. And hit the like while you're in here. It's completely free. Let's talk about Tyson Fury and an article that came out calling people who don't believe Tyson Fury conspiracy theorists about his COVID diagnosis. Before we can get into it, got to give you a little background just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Tyson Fury, let's say it was about a week and a half ago, said that he had to pull out of the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury trilogy fight that was supposed to take place on July 24th, which is about 1 week from today. So it's supposed to take place next Saturday. But Tyson Fury said, and this is the police, this is the report that was given to the media that everybody read, that there was a COVID outbreak in his camp. And as a result of this COVID outbreak in his camp, Tyson Fury tested positive for COVID, and they needed to reschedule the fight. They had Tyson Fury needed to pull out of the fight. Now, when Tyson Fury said that, a whole bunch of people, myself included, said bullpucky. Now, why would I say that right off the cuff? Well, I would say that right off the cuff because it's Tyson Fury saying it, and Tyson Fury is a liar. And I know that I remember that Tyson Fury and his camp were all vaccinated for COVID and were supposed to be living in a bubble. So how did this take place where Tyson Fury catches COVID when he's vaccinated and while he's in a bubble, right? So, of course, Tyson Fury pulls out of the fight. Now, after Tyson Fury pulls out of the fight, this is what starts to happen where other people start not believing Tyson Fury. I'm going to tell you, I didn't believe Tyson Fury to start with because it's Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury will do and say anything Tyson Fury needs to say and needs to do to get Tyson Fury's way. And there had been a rumor that Tyson Fury, and I think this is a very solid one, that Tyson Fury had been knocked out in sparring by Jared Anderson, so he wasn't necessarily having the best camp in the world. You could see it by when he was in public because he wore sunglasses, but you could see all the marks and the cuts around his face. He just wasn't doing well in sparring, and he wanted a redo. So that was my initial take on it because, like I said, when there's, they say when there's smoke, there's fire. Hey, where there's Tyson Fury, there's a liar. That's my thing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's Tyson Fury, there's a liar. I don't believe anything that comes out of this dude's mouth. I'm going to second guess everything he has to say. And that is not, well, we'll get to this idea of being a conspiracy theorist, right? But I didn't believe him off the cuff. However, people start coming out and saying, man, did you see the picture with Joseph Parker and Joseph Parker's at a fight? The Conor McGregor, the Dustin Poirier, forgive me for killing their names, and this MMA fight and Conor McGregor. Did you see this picture? So they show the picture of Joseph Parker with his hand around somebody else taking a picture, smiling. Like, hold on, I thought this guy has COVID. How in the world could that happen? Because it was reported that the people in the camp, one of the people in the camp had COVID was Joseph Parker, right? So and now we see a picture of Joseph Parker just out and about doing whatever. Well, then in response to that, because people asked Joseph Parker, hey, Joseph, what happened? Why are you out here? I thought you had COVID. And he says Joseph Parker says something to the effect of, the first time that I ever heard that I had COVID was in the news. So one of the people, the sparring partners for Tyson Fury that he's working with, Joseph Parker, that was supposed to have COVID, doesn't have COVID. Another person says, hey, did you hear that Jared Anderson was seen on a plane, or he was in Houston or something like that? It's like, are you serious? Jared Anderson too. He's like, yeah, Jared Anderson's walking around like he doesn't have COVID. So you've got two of the main sparring partners that are supposed to be in the crew of people that were infected that are just walking around, and with Joseph Parker specifically, he doesn't know anything about the COVID, right? So people are like, come on now. Then what happens after that is Tyson Fury you start seeing pictures of Tyson Fury out in public at exotic car dealership. You see another time that he's out inside of a casino, which is inside of a casino, which means no ventilation, people right around you, and taking pictures. So people reasonably start saying, hey, does this guy actually have COVID or not? So what happens? Miraculously, right, after people start asking questions about why Tyson Fury is out in public, Tyson Fury then says, or his team then says, oh, Tyson Fury is tested negative for COVID, and he did it 2 days ago. The only problem with that is this, that when you get tested positive for COVID, my understanding is that you have to be quarantined for at least 10 days. And then after 10 days of you being quarantined, then they'll retest you to see if there was a false negative, but somehow, a false positive. So how did Tyson Fury get this done in 8 days? Right? So you break COVID protocol because he tested negative, but then how does that explain Joseph Parker and Jared Anderson? How does that explain? It doesn't explain them, right? So again, now that the issue's all over and Tyson Fury is tested negative, what is the sum of that? The sum of that is that people said Tyson Fury did not have COVID, did not believe him, and guess what? They wound up being right because he wound up not having COVID. Because that's the only thing that they could do to get out of, at least this is how I see it, that's the only thing that they could do to get out of the fact that this guy is walking around in public, is to say, oh, he tested negative for it. But he tested negative for it 2 days before. 2 days before the absolute shortest amount of time that you had to be quarantined to be retested. So he shouldn't have been able to even say that he was negative for another 2 days. But what does the media say? The media says where there's smoke, there's nothing when it's Tyson Fury. The other people are just conspiracy theorists. That is not conspiracy theorism. Theorism. It's not conspiracy theorism. What it is looking at this man and knowing he lied about loaded gloves. The guy lied about wild boar meat. The guy lied about saying that he was going to donate all of his money to the people that suffer from mental illness. This guy got knocked down or got knocked out in sparring. He wasn't having a good training camp, and that was the rumors that were coming out of his training camp. And he found a way to get a do-over, and he relied on COVID because he probably thought, no, with COVID, there's no way you can get out of it because you got to take it seriously if it's COVID. And he came up with another lie, because if he was positive, he wouldn't have been able to found out to be negative for at least 2 more days. But he was out walking around in public, and that's just the pictures that we saw having him walking around. So like I said, there isn't no conspiracy theorists around here. First of all, it's just one man. So a conspiracy is something that takes place between one and more people. Tyson Fury can lie about his COVID by himself and all by himself. However, the boxing media, his managers and all that stuff that push that propaganda out there to make sure that Tyson Fury doesn't look good, that is what these people are, especially this is Boxing Insider that wrote this hit piece on people trying to act like there's something wrong with other people that see this guy lying. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.